but you may get 20 hours allocated. You may get 30, 40, 50 hours a month allocated on your account versus the 10 hours a month for the auto repair. That's how it works in an agency. I think all clients should be created equal, and it's not about how many hours you put into an account, it's what you get out of the account. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the PPC Cave with me, Ryan Fenton, and my co-host, Gene Villanos. Today we're going to be talking about 6 questions before hiring a Google Ads agency. So a lot of people don't know whether they should go freelancer, whether they should go agency, or even if they should hire in-house. In this episode, we're going to go through about 6 questions you should ask ideally agencies or even freelancers before onboarding them. It may also work for people that you might want to hire in-house, but these are relatively good rule of thumb questions to understand if someone knows what they're talking about in terms of Google Ads or if they don't. But before we get into it, Gene, how are you? It's good to be back with you.
Yeah, no, it's great to be back. If you're watching on Spotify video or YouTube, you can see that I have my CeeDee Lamb Dallas Cowboys jersey just because today, Thursday, September 4th, is the very first game of the NFL season. We're playing the Eagles, so I'm stoked about that. What about you, Ryan? How's things? How's Scotland? How's everything?
Yeah, well, just before I answer that, I want to apologize to any Eagles fans watching. We like the Cowboys, we like Eagles, but we all know the Patriots are the best team in the NFL. Maybe not at the moment, but we'll come back a few years and we'll be back. So things are good with me. Scotland was really good. It was good to get away with the family and, just have a break and have a week out. Obviously, over here, it's the school holidays. So we've been trying to make sure the kids are happy and being active and things like that. So it was great to get away and have some quality time with them, touch some grass, because the problem with kids these days, I'm going to sound like a granddad, the problem with kids these days is they're always on their switches, always gaming, always tablets. When I was a kid, right, here we go. This is a completely different episode
boy.
now, but when I was a kid, I was playing football, I was riding my bike. We were just like, it was good times. But these kids these days, they're just like gaming and stuff. So I don't know about you. What were you doing when you were a kid?
Dude.
You were the same?
Of course, I was in the creek, throwing rocks in the creek.
Yeah.
We'd play a lot of football, like American football, basketball, a lot of sports, bikes. I remember one time we thought we were like BMX kids, and we sawed off 2 legs on a table and made it a ramp. So we would jump our bikes on the ramp. So we were mischievous kids. I don't get it nowadays, but it's just us dating our age, I feel like.
I know, you're getting old, my friend. But no, it's good to be back with you on another episode of the PPC Cave. And, the last one we did together, I think, was the Opteo episode, and got a lot of comments about that, some good vibes about that. I really enjoyed it. I think you did as well. So I think we'll probably do some more Opteo-related content. But that was really good. So.
Yeah, speaking of Opteo, we usually do this ad read at the end, but we want to just capture you guys real quick. So listen real quick. We still are doing the 28-day trial. So just go under our video description. There's going to be a link there, opteo.com/the PPC Cave. Go ahead and click that and you'll be upgraded from 14-day to a 28-day trial. And this actually blends in with the questions that we're going to answer here about hiring a Google Ads agency. I think it's really important as any business owner, if you own an e-commerce website or a lead gen website, to understand what Google Ads is. And I think before you want to dive into management, actually having time with software that's so easily set up, Opteo, setting up with your Google Ads. And if you need help, let me know. I'll do it for free for you. I'll set it up for you. But I think it's really important for you to understand the guts of how Google Ads works. If you're a business owner trying to make a decision between agency, freelancer, or managing it yourself, and if you do want to, manage it yourself, Opteo is a great option. So again, that is Opteo.com/the PPC Cave. Upgrade your 14-day trial to a 28-day trial.
That was so good. It's like a little jingle. I like it. Yeah, no, that's great. So what are we talking about today? We've got this question on Reddit. We're talking about questions before hiring a Google Ads agency. Do you want to start off?
Yeah.
Do you want to kick off and read this
Yeah.
question? And yeah,
Right. And so the reason why we came about this is just because I've kind of been on TikTok live lately, and I'm hearing and seeing a lot of business owners, website owners, like not really understand where to go. And we found this question on Reddit, and just real quick to read it is thinking about an agency, a mistake, and you guys can follow along either on Spotify video or YouTube video. I've just paused my ads after spending about 4K a month for 3 years. Yikes. I'd like to look into a professional agency, but I'm not sure what to look for. Could an agency really get better leads for the same price or less? I'm not looking for more clicks. The clicks need to really be in my niche. I know someone that used to sell Google ads for a local TV station. Seemed like a scam. They made money by getting clicks, and I'm not looking for more random clicks. How do I find a good agency? How do I protect myself from useless clicks? Should they use my existing account, or should I have a new one? Who owns the Google Ads account? So yeah, Ryan actually worked in an in-house agency, so he's going to be able to provide so much value here. But I think this is a very fair question. As a business owner, you want to dedicate your time and effort to growing the business. You're not a Google Ads expert. You're not a PPC expert. It's okay, because it's not your forte. You should be working on the business, like I said. So to answer these things, I think we have 6 questions to kind of make sure that you're within the guardrails of navigating if a Google Ads agency is a fit for you.
do you want me to take it? I'll take it. I
Yeah,
don't mind.
you could take the first one.
So we're looking at define your goals first. So I think it's really crucial to make sure that you get an idea of what you want. Is it more leads? Is it more sales? Is it brand awareness, brand visibility? Could it be return on ad spend? Is it more conversion value? What is the goal that, I actually, I always take it back to basics with clients that I work with. And I say, what is the core goal? What is the reason for running Google Ads in the first place? Because we don't want to get too carried away and say, oh, we didn't get this CPC or this ROAS target or whatever it might be, conversion rate. Those are all metrics. If we take it back to basics, what is the core reason that you're wanting to run Google Ads in the first place? So I think that's a question that you need to ask. What is your budget ceiling? How much are you wanting to spend? Is another thing. Do you need shopping campaigns, search campaigns? Is it a PMAX campaign? Is it a remarketing campaign? Is it display? Obviously, all these questions define the goal. And, the thing is that it relates to one another, because if it's brand awareness, okay, maybe we run a video campaign. Maybe it's demand gen. Maybe it's performance max. Okay, is it remarketing? Maybe we look at doing a remarketing list for search ads or a performance max campaign with the remarketing element built in. Is it more sales? Okay, well then how can we start off with maybe like a shopping campaign and segment them out? Best sellers, low performers, margin based, segmentations and things like that. All of these things relate back to what is your goal. So, Gene, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my thoughts are just looking into the Reddit question itself. This person is saying, I know someone that they made money by getting clicks. Like the agency it was by click. That's a crazy way to get paid. But that probably goes within this first point that Ryan discussed, is maybe the scope of work and the clear goals were not set. Maybe the advertising agency or the freelancer thought the brand awareness, aka clicks, was what they wanted. So I think it's super important, like Ryan mentioned, to understand, okay, do you want sales? Okay, do you want specific types of leads, like phone calls that are lasting more than XYZ minutes or seconds? And I think that really has to be set up in your Google Ads account. Like I said, I've been on TikTok live lately, and I've been seeing some crazy stuff with these influencers just spewing crazy stuff on TikTok. And if you don't have your conversion summary, your GA4, not your UA, your GA4 set up to the specific goals like purchases and calls, then you are dealing with the wrong agency, you are dealing with the wrong freelancer. So I think that's a really easy tell if I am a business owner to go into not only an agency, but perhaps a freelancer that you meet somewhere or that you connect with and be like, okay, what are you going to do with the type of goals that I want? Is this something that you have experience in? Can we set this up in Google Ads itself? So yeah, I think that's definitely the number one thing, number one question for an agency.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Moving on to number two, what we've got on the show notes is look for transparency in reporting as well. And unfortunately, I've seen this firsthand in some of the agencies I've worked at, where agencies do hide a lot of the data. They cover up a lot of things. I guess, can I say it? I don't know if I can say it, but I guess I can.
Say
I mean,
it.
it was years ago. The
You can
devil on
do
my
it.
shoulder whispering in his cowboy jersey. Yeah, I
Intrusive.
think I had a director of an agency say to me, "We want to be lucrative with the truth, or bend the truth, or whatever it was." It was something along those terms of like, want to be a bit creative with the truth, I think was what he said to me. So don't report on the fact that, conversions are down. Don't report on the fact that cost is up, or, the cost per conversion has increased. Report on the fact that, well, we've had more impressions this month. We've had more clicks this month.
Wow.
The cost per click has reduced. So actually having a director of a company tell me to, bend the truth, be creative with the truth, and basically lie in a report is really bad. And over promising, I mean, we've got that, we'll 5x your ROAS in 30 days. I think the setup in agencies is different. And another agency I worked at, they had a sales team, and the sales guys were like, against the workers, like the SEO people, the PPC people, because they wanted to win the business. They had a quota to meet. They had sales targets to meet. They get commission every time they make a sale. So they didn't care about what they said. Oh yeah, over the weekend we're gonna make you a millionaire. And then they make these outlandish accusations and promises that we can't live up to as account managers, whether it's PPC, whether it's SEO, whether it's web design, or whatever it might be. The sales guys could sell them the dream, a pipe dream, and we can't make it come true. So what happens? The client gets very frustrated. You guys said you could do this and you can't do this. And then, I've been in meetings where clients have literally threatened to take us to court. We're going to sue you for everything you've got. We're going to put you out of business and things like that. It makes a very hostile situation. And that was one of the things I kind of vowed to do as a freelancer, was to never really be in that situation. Always try and keep the clients happy on board. And it's funny because I'm kind of going off topic a little bit, but I watched a Warren Buffett video the other day, and he said, one of the things to be a successful business is to show gratitude to your customers. If the customer's happy, then, it's going to make your life a lot easier. And, I see a lot of things on like Reddit and X.com and TikTok where, so many crazy, can I say crazy? I don't know if I could say crazy, but a lot of people go into like restaurants and fast food chains, and they start like throwing milkshakes at the servers, and just so rude and all this kind of stuff. And it's just terrible. And then they'll fight back. I think if you just kind of, in that situation, it's very difficult. I'm not in that situation. But if you can look after your clients and customers, it goes a long way. So don't overpromise. And yeah, make sure they do include you as the account owner, not just like, oh, we'll add you as a user. You want to make sure, if you are the business owner, that you own the Google Ads account. I think in this day and age, if you don't own your own Google Ads account for your business, that is just bonkers to me. That is just
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy talk. And make sure you get monthly reports. I mean, we've got here weekly reporting that matches the business KPIs and things like that, not just like inflated, like in vanity metrics, boosted up, kind of what I alluded to earlier. The main thing is I wouldn't say weekly reports is healthy, but monthly reports is. Weekly is a little bit overdone, but monthly reports are really good. So, yeah, Gene, I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, so the big one from this Reddit question is that's answered through point number two is, yeah, this is your account. And they will be the ones set up as managers. The agency does not own the account. You own the account. Okay. And then so the agency or the freelancer has to be added as a manager. I know a lot of the times, if this is the first time that you're doing Google Ads, it's going to be kind of foreign because you don't know how things work, right? But a lot of the times when agencies do this, where it's a whole different account and you're just they have your card on that account, but they're gonna say when it's all said and done, oh, bye, see you later. They're not going to give you that account back just because it's made under their email, whatever it is. So that is a huge point that Ryan went over, is you have to ask them, and not ask them, but confirm and tell them, okay, this will be under my account and I'll add you as a manager. If they don't or have anything else other than okay, yes, to say to that, run. Um, just run. So yeah, I think it's just really important for us to understand that there is going to be that with an agency, and that's why we're freelancers, because you get me and Ryan. You're not getting some junior associate that's working on your account. You're getting me and Ryan. We're talking to you on the Loom, Zooms, emails, updates, whatever. We're the ones talking to you. That in itself is such a value, because the bigger the agency is, the more different departments, the more politics, and probably the more junior person will be working on your account, because they have to scale. You're not going to scale with all these A players. They're going to put a junior associate on your account. And, it's going to be very vastly different from the sales pitch that you receive when it comes to actually seeing who's managing your account and who is your account manager. So, yeah, I think transparency in reporting is just, super, super important. Ask about that for sure. Ask about that when you are looking for a Google Ads agency. I'll take number 3. If there's, do you have anything else on that
Yeah, I
point,
just got a
Ryan?
couple of points
Okay,
actually.
go ahead.
I'll give you a little insider secret from agency side. Nobody wants to answer the phone. So if you're a business owner and you're trying to reach your account manager, nobody wants to answer the phone. I mean, this was like, a few years ago, and it was mostly millennials in the office. I can only imagine it's worse now. Is it Gen Z? That's the next one,
It's Gen
right?
Z, yeah.
Gen Z, yeah. So I think nobody's gonna like. We picked up the phone. We're like, oh, okay, God, fine. I will answer it and ask the questions or whatever. But you could be getting anyone. You could be getting, you could be getting like an SEO guy. You could be getting a web developer. It's not always your account manager. As soon as you answer the phone, it could be the secretary. It could be whoever. It could be anybody. At this point. So nobody wants to answer the phone. It's just the one that pulls the short straw does, and then you might have to go through 2 or 3 other people to get who you want to get to. So there is that as an insider thing. And Gene said about owning the Google Ads account. That is true. I kind of went over it quite quick, but a lot of the times agencies put in the contract that we own the rights to the Google Ads account. So the campaigns are ours. Everything we set up inside the account belongs to us. It's our, like, what do you call it? Like assets or whatever, and our intelligence or something. So just check your contracts. If you do go ahead with an agency, before you sign anything, make sure you do read through the contracts and make sure that what is it called? Something like intelligence or something. I can't remember what it's called, but make sure that belongs to you and not the agency.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, those are good points. Listen to Ryan. He's worked in an agency and he'll be the first one to tell you, go freelancer. Anyway, so number 3, test their process, not just their pitch. I just want to stop there, because it is intentional, right, Ryan, that you have people within an agency and their sole job is to essentially get your foot in the door and set up a time for y'all to meet and talk. And they're not even in the account. They're just there to sell to you. They're just there to whisper sweet nothings in your little ear. And I'm not mad at that, just because we need salespeople. If you're creating an organization, you need people that can understand the mind, the buyer, the potential client. So I'm not mad at that, but you have to just be aware that there will be a pitch. You might not think it's a pitch, and those are the best pitches, but there will be a pitch, right? And so just understand, hey, let's go deeper than surface level, all this sounds good. If there's a money back guarantee, all these little, we're accredited X, Y, and Z agency. We have these badges. We've been family owned and operated for 20, 30, 40 years. We understand that we're marketers and advertisers too. So we have to be able to put our best foot forward, but go deeper than that and ask, okay, how would you structure my campaign? Are we just doing search? Is it just performance max? Is it just shopping? And then maybe ask, okay, something more specific. What about negative keywords, and how do y'all handle or determine wasted spend? Because that should be a very valid question for anyone that's looking to hire anyone, either freelancer or agency. And also, maybe a question like, how do you scale budgets, or what is the cadence of you scaling a budget without tanking the return on ad spend, or just in general my return on investment? So a good agency or a good freelancer is going to talk through the process and not rush you, not make you feel like you're being annoying by answering these questions, just because it's your hard-earned money that they're going to use for Google Ads, and you have the right to understand this. When I was very, very early on with freelancing, someone that asked me this question, I'd probably be like, all right, you might get a red flag from me as a micromanager client. But as I've grown, I start to be a business owner myself, and Ryan obviously is. We start to understand that every penny, every dollar appropriated in growing the business needs to be there needs to be a process to why we're appropriating that dollar to that specific action. We can't just be I'm saying we just can't be throwing money out. So understanding the process of how someone is going to work, how an agency or freelancer is going to work, that should excite them, and not annoy them, that they're having someone to speak to about the actual process. It should be an exciting thing, not making you feel like they're annoyed. Any thoughts on this point, Ryan?
That's a good point, and a very outdated. I'm not going to say outdated, but it's a very agency tactic. I think there's a lot of fear mongering, or just like they're afraid of the real results. They don't know what they're going to get, so they kind of make things sound very technical. We set up your conversion tracking for your e-commerce business. We had to like focus on the data layers, and we did all this dynamic value stuff, and it gets a little bit technical, and like the client doesn't care about that. What does the client care about? Go back to point one. What is their goal? More leads, more calls, more sales. Where do we stand? How much have I spent? What is the return? What is my ROI? That's what the client cares about. So if you can just cut through all the BS at the end of the day and just call it for what it is, I think I'd like to think, touch wood, that I'm relatively good at basically humanizing the Google Ads process, putting it into layman's terms, rather than like, oh, we did this and we did that, and make it sound very complicated and complex and technical and lose the client. I'd rather you, as the client of my client, be level par with me. We're a partnership here. I want you to understand this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is the strategy that we're putting into the campaign, into the account, and I'm hoping to I'm hoping to see this specific outcome. This is the reason why I'm making the change. Put it in layman's terms. This is the outcome that I'm expecting to see. And then we'll evaluate the data. Did it work? Yes, great. Okay, that worked. Let's try this now. Did it not work? Okay, this is why it didn't work. This is what I'm going to do instead. And I think at the end of the day, if things don't go the way you want them to, if you miss the ball a little bit, just put your hands up. Like, don't try and cover up and hide it and, go all complex and technical. Just put your hands up and own it, and I think clients will respect that. Like, if you put your hand up and say, you know what, like, I actually got this wrong this time, or I missed that, thank you for raising it, I'm going to take a look now and see what we can do to rectify X or whatever it might be. So I would say the opposite to agencies is true. Whereas agencies are always lying, making things sound like it's complicated and complex and losing people. Just be real with people. Just have an honest conversation. Put your expertise and knowledge into layman's terms, and get them on a level where they feel comfortable with you.
They say that intellectuality is basically being able to communicate in what Ryan mentioned in layman's terms. When you hear someone spitting out multiple 3 to 4 vowel words or just jargon and they don't understand who they're speaking to, then you could almost see that their credibility is going down just because that's someone that's trying to pull wool over your eyes and maybe say look over here, but this is really what's going on. So I totally agree. If you're going to ask about that and they come at you with all these things that you don't understand, then their job is to basically confuse you so that you don't ask in more questions. You don't ask in more questions. You don't pry. So yeah, I think it's very important to uh, have an agency or a freelancer that you speak to that can speak simply and effectively and just communicate and make you feel at ease while they're doing it. But yeah, so moving towards number 4, check if they're a fit with your business. This is kind of overlooked, just because maybe we're just so trusting, as a business owner, but we don't want to maybe ask about the experience, or we don't want to just be like, okay, like, do you get like this type of offering that I am trying to, sell or drive traffic to? And, can your tools integrate with what I got going on, and back then, um when someone would ask me stuff like this, like, what type of tools, do you use at Google Ads, man? I'm like, I don't use no tools. It's all in my brain, but now we do have Opteo. I use Opteo for everything, reporting, negative keywords, engrams, everything. So it's just another good thing about Opteo. But yeah, like, what type of tools are they using? And a lot of the time, I know a lot of good freelancers, agencies that may not use too many tools, but it's just good to understand like how they're going to handle your account, and do they have experience in handling, your specific account. Ryan, any thoughts on this point?
I have a really good story for this one, and it involves you, my friend. So I
Nice.
got an inquiry come through once for a great e-commerce business, and I couldn't take it as much as I loved it. I loved the branding. I loved the product. I loved the guy. He seemed really great. I knew you love it. I knew that Gene was a better fit. So I actually passed that client through to Gene because it was just a market I didn't understand. And I think that is a sign of maybe a true freelancer. I'm bigging myself up, and I shouldn't
Yeah.
really say that. But the point is that I could have taken that client on, and I could have got a nice, monthly management fee from that client, and probably had a good relationship with him. I don't know as if he would have gotten the same results with me as if he had have gone with Gene. And so I had to be a bit selfless there and say, right, I'm taking myself out of the equation. What is best for this client? And, I was kind of umming and ahhing, but at the end of the day, I just thought, no, it felt like the right thing to do, to pass this opportunity over to Gene, because I knew he could take it and run with it, do it justice. And he knew the market way better than me. So I think that's a good kind of summary of what you're saying there in terms of check if they're a fit with the business. Sometimes they're not. And in that case, they shouldn't take you on, but sometimes they are. So
Yeah. And I still have that client. Shout out to Brandon, and I appreciate you, Ryan, for that.
where are my
I really do.
royalties?
I know I should
You're posting them?
deserve a kickback, deserve a
Oh my
kickback.
god, yeah.
But yeah, no, that happens to us all the time, just because we do get a lot of traffic, and sometimes I'm like, okay, dude, like, I don't speak Dutch, I don't have, I can't look at the search terms and understand German, so as much as I love this website, I can't, and it's a shame, but I think Ryan is being a little bit modest. I think a lot of people in his shoes would have taken that client and just be like, I'll, on the fly, I'll learn it, but I think that's a mature, thing that you're going to get from Ryan, and you're going to get from me. If I don't have experience, or I know there's someone else out there that has a better fit, I'm going to refer you to them, but if there's no one else that I feel like it's going to be better, I'm going to take you on. But yeah, I think that's a fair question. Is check and see their fit with your business. Any thoughts before we move on?
No, I think that's it. I mean, did you want me to take number 5 and you finish
Yeah,
it off
go
with
ahead.
6? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So start with a short commitment. We've put here, don't sign like your life away essentially on day one. Don't sign like a 12-month or 24-month contract on day one. I've seen this happen. I've seen sales guys hand out 24-month contracts for a Google Ads thing, and it's just like 2 years. I mean, that is crazy. I mean, and the problem with that, agencies are very, very clever in how they draw up their contracts. No loopholes or anything like that. Very difficult to get out of. So what happens then? 3 months in, or even 2 months in, the client is frustrated and wants to quit, but they've signed a 12 or 24-month contract. So what happens? Well, we have to take them to court. We have to kind of settle, or we have to kind of go the full way, or whatever it might be. Most of the times, the agencies settle outside of court. They don't want it to get messy. They don't want their names to be dragged through the mud, all that kind of stuff. But the point is that if you can avoid signing a long-term contract, I would do that. I think we always say a 3-month kind of thing is good. I would argue 6 months is actually okay. I mean, the way that we're kind of running at the moment, we say 90 days is when the campaign starts performing at peak, right? So you could do all this work in the first 90 days as an account manager and then hand it over to the client. They're like, yeah, let's just go our separate ways. You've warmed the campaign up. You've done all that work up until this point, and then they take all the glory because they've got a fully performing peak campaign. If you continue for an additional 3 months, so a 6-month contract, then you get that kind of win. So they see the value, I think, in more of what you do. So I don't agree with the 12-month or a 24-month contract, but I do agree in like a 3-month, if not 6. I think 6 is the magic number that I'm starting to move into. And yeah, if you can make sure there is a nice exit clause or just something in the contract that kind of says, 30 days notice and it ends, or whatever it might be, a handshake and agreement, then that's good. That's what I would say. So start with a short commitment. Don't sign your life away on day one.
Yeah, and this is to protect any business owner out there that's looking to start looking at agencies for Google Ads. And Ryan knows best, as I mentioned before. It's just understanding that a shorter commitment is going to be just less stress, less risk, and if the performance is good within that 3-month or 6-month period, then, by all means, the trust is built there. Maybe we can talk about long-term retainers after. I believe that 24 months, that's crazy, but a long-term retainer should be earned, not handed out. This is performance marketing. And if you're doing Google Ads and the PPC agency or the Google Ads is not performing well, then, why would I stay? So I think it's just super important to not feel trapped and to understand that the client themselves can see the real value of an agency or a freelancer. And that's what I mean, Ryan, do short term. For me, I do month to month. I'm not really, worried about not coming back, this and that. I'm just saying, like, I do understand that the 3 month is kind of the baseline of when we start to drive the real traffic and see the real results or the lack of thereof. But I think something that's beyond 12 months to 24 months just seems so absurd, without proving themselves first. But yeah, any final thoughts before we move on to 6, Ryan?
No, let's hear what number 6 is.
Yeah, so 6 is, what is the agency's compensation structure? I just got off a call yesterday. Shout out to Gavin. Gavin listens to this podcast. Shout out Gavin. I told Gavin that I'd shout him out. He actually lives around you. He lives in Nottingham.
Wait, who? Gavin?
Yeah, Gavin. Yeah,
in
Gavin.
Nottingham. He's like from my hometown.
He's from your hood,
I'm
so you guys
Nottingham.
could link. So Gavin is someone that I met off a platform, freelancing
Cool.
platform. That's we're just talking and trying to figure out Google Ads for him. But he actually made some pretty valid points, and this is maybe subliminally another reason why we decided to go with this episode today. But what is the compensation structure of the agency? What me and Ryan do is flat fee, but then we're like, okay, if we're starting to hit KPIs or return on ad spend that we agree upon, that needs to, be discussed moving forward. But primarily in the first couple of months is a flat fee. What agencies we do, and Ryan could definitely double down on this after me, is sometimes they'll do percentage of your budget, sometimes they'll do percentage of your conversion value or the amount of conversions. So there's a lot of spicy ways that an agency can really not be looking after your best interest in regards to the actual performance of the Google ads, just because there's something there for them at the end of the rainbow where they're like, oh well, if we just toggle this up real quick, then we could get to the next tier of payment that this client is willing to pay us, because we're spending more, or we're getting more clicks, or we're getting specific KPIs that are met. So it's kind of counterintuitive to what Google Ads is, because Google Ads is definitely a marathon more than it is a sprint. So to have these weird compensation structures in place from an agency could really cripple the account to a point where it's unsalvageable. So I think that's something to discuss. Ryan, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. So I hate to break it to all the business owners listening into this who are considering a an agency, but you're not like important as you think you are. You know, there's different, and this is true. It's unfortunate, but it's true. There's different tiers. There's different packages. So I've seen like fees from agencies ranging from £500 per month, £300 per month, even all the way up to like £3,000 per month. And all it is a case of how big are you versus how big someone else is. For example, a local like garage, or what do you call a mechanic? I guess you would say in the US. Um, Auto. What do you call them in the US? Like a
Like a
garage
mechanic.
mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Auto repair.
whatever. Auto repair, that's it, yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, like a local auto repair or garage or whatever, they're not going to have like that kind of money. So you'd go in at 300, maybe £500 per month at a push. And agencies would sell that as a package deal. Like, this is SEO, this is web design. We'll start you off with a new website. We'll take care of your SEO. We'll do PPC. And for £500, of course, they're going to like bite someone's hand off. But then you're a bigger, maybe like a national kind of brand or something, a bit well known. You might be given a £3,000 per month contract, and it'll be the same package, just more expensive. The difference between the two, if you're a local auto repair or garage or whatever, you're probably going to get maybe 5 hours a month, maybe 10 hours a month allocated to your account, meaning a junior account manager will probably get your account. So they don't really want to give it to someone who is like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 6 years experience. Sorry, they're going to give you to a digital account executive, someone who's just started out, a junior essentially, doesn't really know what they're doing. You're the ideal client that they're going to learn on. Whereas if you've got more of a national client, well, we can't have a junior managing that. Like, God, they're a national brand. We could potentially, win awards with this client. So we're going to give it to a more experienced account manager. And that's why you pay for the $3,000, but you may get 20 hours allocated. You may get 30, 40, 50 hours a month allocated on your account versus the 10 hours a month for the auto repair. So there's the difference there between the two, and that's how it works in an agency. That's their pricing and compensation structure, is how big you are, how many hours are billable for that account versus how many aren't, essentially, or do we have enough time? Are they paying it? So it works more on hourly based and billable hours, which doesn't really fit, I don't think, a marketing, advertising, Google Ads approach. I think all clients should be created equal, and it's not about how many hours you put into an account. It's what you get out of the account in terms of what the revenue is, what the ROAS is, what the cost per conversion is, cost per lead, quality of calls and leads coming through. All of this matters rather than, oh yeah, I put 30 hours a month into your account. Okay, but you generated like 5 crappy leads for me. You spent all this money and all this time in the account, and you only gave me 5 crappy leads. What the heck? Whereas, okay, I spent like 5 hours in your account and I generated 30 quality leads, right? So which one would you rather take? So that's kind of how it works at agency. I don't agree with it. And just be wary of that, I guess.
That
Sorry, I
was so good,
went.
dude. Bro,
Bad.
that was definitely so good. I even just wrote in the notes for our editor Joel to use that as the intro
Oh no.
for the next video.
I'm
Just because
uncovering all the dirty secrets.
it's so real, man. It's so real, and I think it's high
Yeah.
time, not only from speaking to a potential client yesterday and Reddit, and just in general what I'm seeing on TikTok with these foo guru agency people that have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm, and it may be coming off like me and Ryan want the smoke, or we're really like aggressive towards agencies, but there are good agencies out there, right? There are good agencies out there, and there are bad freelancers out there. Not me and Ryan, but there are still bad freelancers out there. So it's really a universal guide. Use these 6 questions as a universal guardrail, regardless of who you want to take over your Google Ads account, to just kind of pry a little bit and do a little research on the agency. You could see how they react to these questions. You could see how the email replies are to these questions. And I think it's going to benefit a lot of people out there, business owners alike, when we're really trying to move towards figuring out if a Google Ads agency is the right fit. Any final thoughts, Ryan, as we begin to sign out?
Yeah, again, you make a really good point, and I don't want to tarnish every single agency with the same brush because, as Gene just mentioned, there are really, really good agencies out there, like agencies that do take care of their clients, that agencies that are transparent, and like award-winning agencies that actually are award-winning and the level that you'd expect. It's just when you go more on a local level, the agencies, well, in my experience, that's all I can pull from is my experience, that aren't as good as you may think they are. So that's why take what we've said in this episode and just test it, when you are looking at agencies or even freelancers, and to a degree, hiring in house as well. Just have these under your hat in terms of questions or observations. But yeah, I don't want to be mean to every single agency out there because I would probably say something on the lines of maybe 60-70% of agencies are actually really good. And there's just been probably 40% that aren't that great. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but again, really depends on who you're working with and what the reputation of the agency is. But I think most business owners are smart. I think when they have a conversation with an account manager, not a salesperson, and an account manager, they'll kind of know if, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Because like Gene said, if you're able to break things down in such a way and not confuse, complicate people with technical terms, if you can break it down as in, like, we're having a conversation like this and you can understand what I'm saying, then you've got a right guy. So yeah, that's all I'd say.
Yeah, this was definitely experience packed episode. And for more experience packed episodes, subscribe to us. Subscribe, like, comment, and we do want to hear from y'all. We want to hear if we're doing a good job. If there's any topics that y'all would like to hear us discuss in future episodes. We have been getting comments on the last couple YouTube videos, so that's always cool to see. Again, we are a Opteo sponsor, www.opteo.com/the PPC Cave. Get your free 28-day trial. Link is in the video description, and we upload every Monday at 12 a.m. Mountain Time on YouTube video, Spotify video, regular Spotify, and social medias. We're on social, TikTok, IG Reels, YouTube Reels. So check us out there. Ryan, where can they find you if they want Google Ads management from a freelancer, not agency?
GeneVillenaz.com. No. Ryan Fenton, ppc.co.uk. How about you?
They can find me at tempest59.com. And yeah, if y'all have any questions, email us, theppccave@gmail.com. But if there's nothing else, then bye for now.